Hey, it's Sam with the third step in the assessment of the astrology chart through the matrix of the ascendant and the planets as house rulers and as the evolution of our soul and consciousness. So the third actual step here is where we notice that the evolution of planets and wisdom. The planets are the agents of wisdom and of consciousness and of higher self. Each one of the planets rule a different part of your being. And as such, your being is wise and it's holistic, just like your body is wise and holistic. Your body was created by the universe, by the planets, and that wisdom of the body is also mirrored by the wisdom of the planets. Now, we're on an evolutionary process in life. Everything is here to evolve. And there are several different frameworks through which we evolve. The simplest way to understand our evolutionary process is actually from the Vedic model, or from the Vedic standpoint. We have what's called the three gunas, which have to do with tamas, which means body and form, rajas, which means emotion and passion, and sattva, which means intelligence and spirit, love, beauty, harmony. And we're always evolving through these three stages: physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. And another way to understand it is tamas has more to do with ourself, where we're self-interested, self-motivated, self-protective. The tamasic planets, Mars and Saturn, are protective energies through fight or flight and all of those kinds of things. So that's the tamasic nature, through our self and our physical form. And then rajas is our emotional body, which is also related to others. So whereas tamas is the self and our evolving self and being more self-interested, rajas is more interested in ourself and others, that mutual exchange, that, I get pleasure and you get pleasure, and we're in this kind of dialogue, which is a very emotional realm of existence, the emotional body. And then sattva, which has to do with higher universal principles. So it's not about me, it's not about my interaction with others as individuals, it's about my relationship with the cosmos and perhaps my relationship with gurus or higher teachings or higher wisdom. So you might just understand it if we look at the evolutionary process, let's say, of one of the planets. Let's just take one planet and run this model. The planet Venus is a good one because life is is very much a sort of Venus experience. We all want to be happy. There's the physical, personal happiness that we have, that we can experience through things like food and sex and physical things that make us physically happy. Our physical body, right? And that's very important, that I get to satisfy my personal desires and it feels good. Then an evolution of that is pleasing someone else, equal to my own pleasure. Like, for instance, in a romantic relationship. That's why Venus is the karaka of romantic relationships, because then it's not just about my pleasure, it's about sharing. And your pleasure, as my partner, becomes just as important as my pleasure. And if my pleasure comes at your expense, I don't feel good in a relationship. So that's an evolution of Venus energy. And of course, we can look at our early relationships before we had any clue that that's what we were doing. Our early relationships were very selfish, very self-motivated. They were based on things that were, quite physical, like, sex and, satisfying our own personal desires. Then we learn, an evolution of that is to share, and where we learn that it's not just about my happiness, but it's about yours as well. And then once we learn that we can sacrifice our personal pleasure and happiness to please one person, or to please one other person, then we learn the secret that we can sacrifice our personal happiness for all of creation, all of existence. Then it's not just about one person, it's about pleasing or finding beauty in all things, finding beauty in creation itself, and ultimately in God and in devotion. That's the sattvic realm. So the tamasic realm would be through the physical body, my personal pleasure. And this is why the physical body is so important, that we work through karmas on a physical level, that we embody our truth. This is why we've incarnated with a physical body, with a physical form. Because we have to work through it through the physical first. Because even if I'm emotionally unhappy and I don't know, how to find happiness in God or in other people, there's still ice cream, chocolate. That'll give me some happiness. But it comes at the expense of our physical well-being. So we have to, balance and harmonize the trade-offs. Each level of karma has a trade-off. It has a counterfeit version and comes at the expense of something else. So there's the physical pleasure, but then we learn, as I said, especially in a relationship, which is a subtler form of physical enjoyment, that we learn to share with others, and not just romantic others, but anyone else in our life. We really learn whether or not we're being an idiot or a jerk based on how everybody is responding to us. Of course, we see the culmination of that in a romantic, intimate relationship, but all relationships have that feedback. That's the rajasic human interaction level and the emotional level, and then that evolves into the highest, more spiritual level. So the evolution of planets and our higher wisdom is what we're always aspiring to through each of the planets. And in the Ascendants course, we're going to talk about this evolutionary process through all of the 12 signs and all of the planets for all the 12 signs. So Venus for Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, all of them, and all the planets through all the signs, and that evolutionary process for each one will be discussed. And then in the next video, I'm going to talk about how the houses evolve.